Welcome to season 5 of Snapshots, where we speak to masters of photography. And today we're in Bristol with Martin fucking Parr. Hello Martin, thank you.
Hi there.
Thank you for welcoming us.
No problem.
And let's start with a simple question, which is, how was Iceland and how was it different compared to all the other countries you photographed?
It was interesting because I hadn't realised quite how big the tourism scene is there. It's become really huge in the last 10, 20 years. And what was interesting is lots of Chinese people there. So they obviously go there on the way to Europe. And if you go on the Golden Circle, which is the main sort of thing that people go on, every stop is basically absolutely jammed with people. And of course, the more people there are, the happier I am. So for me, it was a very productive trip. We went whale watching. We went to different, like the Blue Lagoon, which is quite fantastic. Took some pictures there. So yeah, it was great. It was really as much a work trip as a holiday.
Okay, nice. I'm actually looking forward to see what kind of pictures you produce in there.
Well, they're on Instagram this week.
Perfect.
Have you not been following me?
I have.
Okay.
This is why I asked the question, because I saw that you're back.
Right.
Will you be doing a book or something more, or it was just like a little trip?
No, I won't be doing a book just on Iceland. I mean, it'll maybe contribute, one or two of them may get into a new edition of Small World, but I've just done a new edition of that, so it'll take a while before that sells out.
Okay. So the second question is, could you give us an introduction of who you are, although you don't need it, and what was your first encounter with photography, please?
Well, I'm Martin Parr, I'm a photographer. I'm quite old now, I'm 71, so I've been photographing for maybe 53 years. I started because I met my grandfather, who was a very keen photographer. He lived near to Bradford, and I went there when I was a kid, and he basically lent me a camera, went out shooting together, made prints. So about at the age of 13 or 14, I decided that I wanted to be a photographer, and I've never looked back. I went to Manchester Polytechnic, where I met A, my wife, and B, some great photographic friends like Daniel Meadows and Brian Griffin. Sadly just died 2 or 3 weeks ago. And here I am at the Martin Parr Foundation, which is all part of my dream, really, to collect other British photographers and to give them a platform to show them, to collect their books, to collect their magazines. So yeah, that's where we are now, all those years later.
Amazing. This connects to the third question, because in this podcast we have a little tradition. We always ask our current guest to leave a question to the next one. So the previous question from our previous guest, Ostea, she's a fashion photographer from London, and she's amazing. Like, what she produces is really amazing. And she's asking you, what is your current dream that motivates you to do what you do?
I guess my dream is to continue the work here at the foundation, to build up the collection, to add to my own archive, because I'm in the departure lounge now, so I won't be I won't be around for many, many years to come. And to basically finish the archive. There's no such thing as finishing an archive. You build it up. We have a lot of pictures on the Magnum site. They're all keyworded, so it's great. So that's it, really. More of the same, basically.
And can you tell us more about the foundation? How did it start? I mean, what was the first book maybe that you remember? Let's be a little bit more romantic about it. How did it start? What was the idea to build it in here? What was the whole process of it?
Well, it goes a long way back, because I started collecting photographic books, so in the late 80s, and then I built up a very good collection. This coincided with my time at Magnum, so I had more funds to actually buy these books. And then those books went and were sold to the Tate about 7 or 8 years ago. This helped give me the funds to open this place. I donated the money to the charity. The charity bought the buildings here. We had them done out. We put in a concrete floor. We have underfloor heating, which is very efficient, so it doesn't mean we have radiators clogging up the thing. And we've now just expanded. We bought 2 more smaller buildings in the next door, sort of set of buildings. We've run out of space because I guess we've collected so much stuff. We have a very healthy bookshop. So yeah, we're trying to keep on top of everything. But we have a fantastic membership scheme. John, our membership secretary, is just around the corner. So it's going very well. I'm very happy.
Nice, because I remember studying you in particular. I think it was my second year of university, and my lecturers were very keen on showing your work and what you do. And I remember watching a documentary and looking at books. And like, look at me, not even 5 years later, I'm like, I'm here. I'm like, oh my God, brilliant. I've never thought that something like this exists, because usually when you go to a gallery, it's more gallery and showing work and selling books, but an archive of photographers is brilliant. I mean,
We can show you it later.
please do. I would love to. I would love to. You said there's how many books out here?
Around 5,000, something like that. But the collection that went to the Tate was, I think, 12,500. So it was double this and some. So, you know, and it was great to get it to the Tate, because they took a long time before they sort of got on board with photography. Not till 2004 did they do photographic exhibitions in their own right. So they therefore didn't have a collection, unlike, say, museums like the V&A or the Bradford Museum. They didn't have a good collection of books, so it's a great opportunity for them to sort of catch up and get one of the best photographic book collections in the country.
Okay. Let's take a little time out, because there's a background noise over here. Because this will
No, we
capture.
want noises from the foundation.
You want them?
Yeah,
Okay, we keep them then. We keep them.
the phone ringing, the printer's on.
Okay.
It's all go here, you know.
We keep it
Can't
real.
stop podcasts.
That's true. This is something I did. I mean, ambient. Yeah, it's like atmosphere noise. Yeah, the atmosphere. This
Yeah, a bit like the zone of interest, right?
Yeah, I like it. Because I was in Italy just recently, have another podcast in Italy, where I speak in Italian, but more with artists. So it's not just photography.
Oh, right.
Well,
okay.
this one is
so
purely
you have
photography.
fluent Italian.
Yes, of course. Yes, I have.
What do you mean? Yes, of course. Why? Why?
I'm Italian.
Oh, you're Italian. Okay.
Yes.
Well, I'm not to know that.
So I'm half Italian, half Lithuanian, and I'm fluent in both languages. So
Right.
the next one I'm going
Okay.
to launch is going to be Lithuanian, because
Right.
I want to connect with my whole universe and with podcasting. And we were in Italy just before Christmas or just after Christmas, and we were having a conversation with this brilliant photographer. His name is Gabriele, and he works with fashion and magazines and lifestyles. And he burped. And he said, well, don't cut it, because we have to keep it real. So we're going to do the same here. We're going to play the
Well,
same
I haven't
concept.
burped yet. Sorry about that.
We're going to
I'll
wait
do
for
my
it.
best to muster one up.
So we came to the fourth question now, and it's by Tamonga. So every time I interview someone, I try to collect questions from different people, because I think it's better, because you connect and you involve more people in a podcast. So the question is, it's quite deep actually. How did your black and white eye adapt to color photography? Because you started out with black and white, because there
That's
was
correct.
no color. So how did your world change? Because I guess when you take pictures in black and white, you see in black and white. How was the switch, and what was the...
I guess in the 70s, I began to see color photography coming from American photographers who were getting museum shows, Eggleston, Stephen Shaw, Joel Sternfield, that whole generation. And not only that, I'd seen the British photographer Peter Mitchell do his show in the Impressions Gallery, the second photographic gallery to open here in the UK. And it made me think that maybe I should consider doing colour. And they just introduced a 6x7 camera called the Plough-Bell. So this meant we could shoot a very big negative, very similar to use and weight as a Leica, so it's a very efficient camera. And I took this camera with its wide-angle lens, and I just moved to the Wirral, and just down the road was this rather seedy resort called New Brighton. And I went there and started photographing in colour, and indeed with flash as well. And that produced the project called The Last Resort, which is still probably my best-known body of work, all these years later.
So your first color photography work was the best one, you believe? It's
In
still
one
out
sense,
there.
you could argue that, yeah. And I've gone downhill ever since. It's not very good, is it? What can we do about that?
I mean,
Yeah.
it's
I
debatable.
mean, I can only come back up, right?
That's true.
Maybe people will appreciate me when I'm dead.
I mean, that's the case always, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, for as sad as it sounds, that's
Brian
the case.
Griffin, he just died recently, which is very sad because he was a great friend of mine. But I think people are so much in awe of his work on his departure than when he was alive. So I'm hoping for that boost when I'm gone.
At least you're positive about
If
it.
you come to the memorial service, Dom, you can quote me on that.
I'll be there. I'm
be there. Filming it, right?
I'm famous for, not famous, but
Are you?
But I when I was at university, I chose something that no one else wanted to do, and they gave us like random tasks. Choose something and just go with it. And one of the tasks was funeral photography, and I remember everyone going away from it. I didn't choose it, but people just kind of threw it away. And I collected it and I said, funeral photography. Let me expand on this. Let me think, how would I approach a funeral? So sadly, one of my friend's dad passed away in that period, and I kind of went to her and I said, I'm sorry this happened. I mean, I'm here for you, but would you mind if I photographed the funeral? And she said yes. So I photographed the funeral of my friend. And then I got invited to do a job with Stephen Hawking in Platon. And then Stephen Hawking passed away, and the family asked me to do a memorial service in photography, like to photograph his funeral. So if you don't mind, Martin, I'll sign up for this.
Right, okay.
Well,
if you want to pay a deposit towards my funeral, you know, doing the photography for it, I'd be very happy.
Yeah, we do that. We do that. Okay, we got a contract.
Now, hang on, I should pay you, shouldn't I? But the thing is, I'll be gone, so I can't.
So, fuck it.
Yeah, you can declare yourself bankrupt because you never got paid by Mr. Parr.
Next question. This is a question that the next two questions are from me personally. So I'm I'm a geek when it comes to photography, and one of the aspects is gear. Can you give us a timeline of the cameras you have used? So from the beginning until like now.
I mean, let's say I used a Leica, and then I used the plow bell, and then I got into the Nikon F with a macro lens and a ring flash, and then I went to Canon, and I went to 5D 1, 2, 3, and 4.
So this is your go-to camera, the 5D Mark IV.
Yeah. Well, actually, I've got the new mirrorless. I can't remember what it's called.
R, I think R6.
I have no idea.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I think it's R6, isn't it? R6 Mark II maybe now, because that's how they go. And what was your favorite film camera to use back in the day?
I also did a Mamiya 7. I forgot about that. I think the Leica was wonderful. You know, it's a beautiful camera.
Okay. Because I've always wanted to handle a Leica because I never had one, which is fine. I mean, when I used to work in the camera shop, I used to handle it, but you don't take pictures with them. You just look at them and admire them.
Yeah.
How does a Leica feel different to another camera?
Well, it's got a beautiful shutter. The camera's beautiful, and it's a very well-made piece of kit. Doesn't break down. It keeps on going.
And which Leica did you have?
I must have had an M4.
M4. Okay.
With a 35mm lens.
F2.
I can't remember.
That was. I remember the M4 with an F2 was the one. That was
right.
Brilliant.
I'm not that interested in gear. That's the thing.
As long as it takes pictures, doesn't it? Okay. And the next question: what was the first camera you started with? That was another thing I wanted to know.
I think a Retinet.
Retinet. Okay. I had one. They're cheap now. That they're cheap, you can buy them for 99p on eBay. They're so mass-produced that you can just buy them for 99p. Another question that comes from me, and I'm a very romantic when I speak about photography, and I think I wanted to kind of take this from you a little bit more. And the question is, what was the most emotional moment you have captured? And it can be anything.
Difficult to know, really. I guess I was there when our daughter was born, so that was quite good. Yeah, I'd say that.
Okay. And are there any that is a very personal moment, I guess, but are there any other moments as a photographer that you have witnessed and captured that made you really emotional?
I think that's the top of the chart.
That's the top of the chart.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, as you said earlier, everyone asked every single imaginable question. And this podcast always stays on 7 questions, so I'm not going to ask you for any
really?
more.
Oh my God, that was so fast.
Yes, it was fast, but I think it was good.
Okay.
And
you've got to ask me what question I ask the next interviewer.
Exactly, but now we come to this one. So, what would you like to hear from the next person on our podcast?
Do you think your work's got better or worse as you've gone through life?
Okay.
Let me know the answer, whoever it is. 7 questions. so little?
Yes, I think because you don't need that much. I think
Okay.
in 7 questions
Right.
you can cover the whole aspect.
The whole world?
Yes, you can. You
Okay.
can argue that.
No, I'm
yes,
fine.
you-
Don't worry. I'm not
Yeah,
arguing. I'm
no,
not
no,
asking. I'm not demanding another 7.
No, no. I think as long as we know how you started and what your passion for photography is and what your dream is, I think
Right.
that's-
Right. Okay.
this is the conversation
Great.
to have. And now I'm gonna launch a new tradition on this podcast. So one of them is to leave a question for the next one, and the next tradition will be, who would you recommend me to interview next?
Oh,
Because I think that is something that.
I'd say John Bulmer,
Okay.
Cambridge student.
He was the chairman of the society in 1959.
That's pretty good, isn't it? And he's still alive and well.
That's incredible.
He lives in Hereford.
Perfect. Yes, thank you very much. So,
Yeah.
with this, we conclude the first episode of season 5, which is Masters of Photography. You cannot imagine how much I've dreamed of this, because
Oh dear.
let
Stop.
let me give you like a little fan moment.
Go on then.
So I was in my back garden last summer, and I was listening to a podcast with you, and there was some photographer around here, and I said, I want to do that, but I want to connect maybe on a deeper level if I can with photographers, generally speaking. And going from getting inspired to do a whole podcast by you, because you were the one on that podcast, to being here, not even a year later.
A journey.
It's like you cannot imagine how I feel about this. You just cannot imagine. So thank you very much,
Okay,
Martin.
no problem.
And goodbye, everybody.
Okay, bye bye.
That was amazing. That was amazing.